Annyeonghaseyo people, it's Adaora once again. Welcome back to this YouTube channel. If you're yet to subscribe to this channel, please click on the subscribe button and also hit the notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video comes up. In this video, I'm going to be doing a very short explanation. I had some of my friends ask me what the difference is between this particle and this particle. We know this iga is the subject marking particle and in and yen is the topic marking particle. So what is the difference between the two? Sometimes we get confused as to when to use these particles in a sentence and when not to use them. So I'll be briefly explaining when and how to use these particles. We all know what the subject of the sentence is, right? The subject of the sentence performs the action in the sentence, while the topic of the sentence emphasizes the topic, like you're making this particular person or thing the subject of the sentence. So I'm going to be using these three words as the example. We have Tina, we have Sagwa, and we have Mokta. So Tina is the name of a person, Sagwa is an apple, and then Mokta is to eat. So I'm going to be conjugating Mokta into the past tense, and I'm going to be using Mogosoyo. So I'm going to be adding the particle to where we have to add it in order for me to, explain very well. So first of all, I'll be explaining Tina가 사과를 먹었어요. Tina가 사과를 먹었어요. Here, I used the subject marking particle and I used ga because Jina ends with a vowel, which means I have to use ga. But if Jina or probably the name ends with a consonant, I will have to use e. So here I'm going to be using ga. So Tina가 사과를 먹었어요. Tinaga is already indicating that Jina is the subject of the sentence. 사과를 is indicating that sagwa, which is apple, is the object of the sentence. 먹었어요 is the action, which is the verb that Jina did. So we have Tina가 사과를 먹었어요. Jina ate the apple. Jina ate the apple. Now, this is indicating that the subject of this sentence is Jina. Jina is the one that did the action of eating the apple. So basically what the sentence is saying that the subject of this sentence is Jina. The person that did the action of eating the apple or that ate the apple is Jina. Simple. That's what the subject of the sentence is. That's what e or ga does. It simply tells you that this person or this thing is the subject of the sentence. Now moving on to the topic marking particle. What the topic does is to emphasize. Emphasis placed on the word emphasize. It emphasizes that this is the topic of the sentence. That's one. Another thing it does is to explain in comparison to other things. This is what I'm talking about. Now I'm going to be using it in the same example and you're going to see the difference. If I say Tina는 사과를 먹었어요. I am using 는 because Tina ends with a vowel, but if the name ends with a consonant, I will use n. So Tina는 사과를 먹었어요 is also saying that Jina ate the apple, but is explaining it in another way. Now, if anyone hears Tina는 사과를 먹었어요, it means that in comparison to other things or other people, the person that ate the apple is Jina. Now, take for example, there's an imaginary room here, and then we have Jina, we have Adaora, we have Shalom, we have Mercy. That's 4 people. Jina, Adaora, Shalom, Mercy. 4 people in the room. And then mom comes and asks, who ate the apple? 누가 사과를 먹었어요? Who ate the apple? We will all say, because it is not Jina alone that is in the room, we can say Jina는 사과를 먹었어요, which means that it was Jina that ate the apple. It wasn't Adaora, it wasn't Mercy, it wasn't Shalom. It was Jina. That nin there is emphasizing that the topic of the sentence, the person that actually did it, is Jina. So what nin and in does is to emphasize the topic of the sentence in contrast to other things. So just in case you're trying to figure out what the difference is between these two words and how to use it, it's quite easy. Just know that the subject iga, you only use it when you want to indicate the subject of the sentence, and that's all. And then when you want to use in and nin, you're emphasizing that particular word. Whether it's a subject, whether it's an object, you're emphasizing that this is the topic of this whole sentence. I'm going to be using one last example and I'm going to be explaining. This is a little bit complex, although I'm just going to try to break it down. So we have 오늘 날씨 좋네요. Onul, today. Narshi, weather. Tonail, to be good, it's good. So joining this together is Onul, Narshi, Tonail, which means the weather is good today. It's about to rain though. I hope it doesn't rain. Okay, so if I want to place the nin particle, I'm explaining the nin here, so it's quite technical, but once you get it, trust me, you will get it. So if I'm going to be using the nin particle, another funny thing about the nin and in particle is the fact that it can be anywhere in the sentence. It doesn't have to start the sentence, it can be anywhere. So I'm putting the in and in particle on onul, and this is what this sentence means. If I say 오늘은 날씨 좋네요, this means that today, the emphasis is on today, 오늘, today. Talking about today, the weather is good. Today, the weather is good. It means that yesterday the weather was so-so, the day before the weather was but today, the weather is good. The emphasis is on today, which means I am stressing that the topic of my sentence is today. Now, if I take the in particle and put it on 날씨, it changes the meaning of the sentence, and I will have 오늘 날씨는 좋네요. 오늘 날씨는 좋네요, which means that also the weather is good. But this is what it's explaining. It is saying that talking about today, the only thing I can point out that is good so far is the weather. The weather today is good. So the emphasis on 날씨 is stating that the person has probably been having a bad day, probably got stuck in traffic, probably fought with a friend, and everything seems so bad. But thinking about it, the only thing that I can say is good is the weather. So the emphasis placed on 날씨 explains that the weather is the only thing that I can say is good about today. So I am making 날씨 the topic of my sentence because that is what I am emphasizing on. So basically what the topic particle does is to emphasize the topic, like the name, topic of the sentence. And trust me, if you keep, trying to use them in sentences and try to also explain your sentences to yourself, you will get used to it, and you also know when to use the nen particle and ga particle. I hope this video has been really helpful. And if you have any other questions or anything you would like me to answer, you can always drop them in the comment section. And if you were able to understand what I just explained, also let me know in the comment section. And I'll see you guys in another video. Bye.